I really do love Spike. While his episodes haven't been the strongest, I always find him an interesting character to analyze due to how different he is from other characters in fiction and his role in the show's friendship circle. Compared to other children's shows, Spike and Twilight's friendship has been pretty unique. They've been together since the beginning of the show, except, well, when his presence didn't threaten to undo the whole setup of the plot. Oh, hello, little cutie map poster, when did you get here? But for some reason, Spike has stayed with Twilight all of this time. Why is this? Why does Spike not want to leave Twilight? Some will say, but... Some people will say, because Spike's a kid. To those people I say, that hasn't stopped him before from trying. Let's take a look at their relationship, because it's very uniquely set up, and as a result, very unclear. Spike was hatched by Twilight and subsequently raised by both she and Celestia. Since then, Spike has lived with Twilight and served as her assistant rather than explicitly being called a family member. Despite that, some people see them as a sort of brother and sister, since they grew up together and they should be, what, about 6 or 7 years apart? It's plausible, but Twilight is far too dominant in their relationship and seems to take on too much responsibility in both of their lives for that to be true, which is a big reason people support the next theory. Others see them as mother and son. Twilight was technically the one responsible for Spike's birth, and Spike is technically placed under her care like a ward. Although this theory has more credence, I'm not entirely convinced. Not only are they too close to being the same age, Twilight rarely shows any indication she thinks of Spike as her child or vice versa. They talk to each other way too casually, and the responsibilities given to Spike are less like chores and more like things that the household needs to run. I mean, I can understand Applejack doing that, but Twilight? But the biggest counterpoint to this theory actually comes from Dragon Quest. Twilight let him leave. If Twilight were his parent or legal guardian, she would have the responsibility to put her foot down, and Twilight is nothing if not a rule-abider. So in essence, I think it's a combination of the two. Kathy Westlook, the voice of Spike, says she views Twilight and Spike as the relationship between an older and younger sibling with one or more parental members absent. In these situations, the older sibling has to step up and be a parent to the younger. So we've established the relationship, and it shows a good reason for why Spike wants to stay in Ponyville. Although, that doesn't mean he'll stay forever. He could very well gain a reason to leave. But what could that reason be, you handsome blonde stallion, you might be asking? To figure this out, we need to look at what drives normal people to leave the nest, besides, getting kicked out. Reason 1, hatred of parents/environment. Sometimes kids just hate their parents or their environment and want to distance themselves from them. Well, Spike obviously doesn't hate Twilight. In fact, his worst fear is having her abandon him, and he loves everyone in Ponyville, so that theory is shot. Reason 2, need for independence. Sometimes kids have a need for independence and respect, the need to feel like you have control over your life. This theory is interesting. One reason that kids have difficulty leaving their parents is fear or lack of confidence that they can survive in the real world. Spike here has no such problem. We did have moments where Spike was overcome by his desire to be seen as strong, independent, and mature, and he nearly left because of that. And the interesting thing is, he's never expressed such a desire since. Reason 3, ambition! Many kids want to leave because they feel they are called for something greater, or they desire to make a mark on the world. This usually comes from their interests or passions influencing where they want to end up. We don't really see Spike express any ambitions or desires. I mean, we see him have hobbies like cooking, hoofball, reading comics, but nothing he's really passionate about, except for being Twilight's assistant. Maybe the reason he doesn't leave is because he has realized he's already achieved his ambition. There's a very interesting bit of fan art by Wolf Jedi Samuel that I think best exemplifies the situation. Here, we see Spike not being viewed as a slave, but a servant. Not being viewed as a child, but as an equal. Not someone who is half-hearted, but one who is content. Reason 4, love. Spike could very well leave Twilight if he finds love. Being Twilight's assistant doesn't pay, so he'd have to move out. Depending on whom he finds, he could even leave Ponyville entirely. But don't worry, this isn't going to happen anytime soon. Even though he could leave at any time, Spike is still considered a child by the main six, the audience, and the show staff, so him leaving someone for love doesn't seem like a possibility in the recent future. So far, the only hint of romance comes from Rarity, and that relationship isn't going anywhere. So yes, to summarize, Spike can leave, but he feels no reason to. He's happy and fulfilled where he is, and now I'm just waiting for another MLP episode to roll around to completely render this video moot. But that's just what happens when you take things too seriously.